excited for this one. Welcome back, everyone. In our series, Say It Forward, we find extraordinary women to tell their stories in the hopes of inspiring others. Today, we're speaking with award-winning writer, producer, and host, Amanda Parris. Finally! It's been a long time coming. So whether it's writing powerful plays like The Other Side of the Game, short films like The Death Doula, or interviewing big stars like Spike Lee and Lena Waithe, storytelling is at the heart of what Amanda does. Her work amplifies the voices and artistry of Canadians from diverse communities. In her years at CBC, Amanda has hosted the TV series Exhibitionists and created the weekly column Black Light. She also created and hosted the popular CBC radio show, I loved the show, Marvin's Room, which explores the history of R&B music. She's already done so much for Canadian arts and media, but she's just getting started. Give it up once again for Amanda. Just getting started. I'm so happy to finally have you here on Cityline. So, did you always feel like, take me back to the beginning, did you always feel like storytelling was your calling? This is what I need to do, this is my space?
Definitely. It wasn't necessarily going to look like this. When I was little, I just wanted to be a writer of novels. Okay. And I used to write little short stories about dinosaurs and time travel. And it was, you know, if anyone asked me, any adult, what do you want to be when you get older? A writer, immediately.
Okay.
Until one well-meaning relative said, oh, a writer? So you want to be broke? Don't you want to take care of your mother?
Yeah.
And so I got diverted from the dream, and it took close to 2 decades to get back to it, but I'm back, and I'm very happy to be back in it.
There's something to be said for families, and it's often immigrant families that'll tell you you need to get a job that's going to make you some money. You know, like there's not a lot of room for dreaming and these pie-in-the-sky ideas. And I understand. I totally get it. But at the same time, you had to come back around to it. And now you can say, hey, look, I can also make some money.
Oh, he denies that he ever said it.
Right?
Yeah, he doesn't. I brought it up the other day. I was like, you know, Uncle, you said this thing. And he's like, I never said any. So, you know, we'll have the conversation.
That's right, because you're so successful now, which is amazing. Okay, many people will know you from your roles at CBC, as I mentioned. Before getting into radio and television, you did a lot of community work, which I think is really important. So how has that informed what you were doing these days? And I know you are still as connected as you always were, aren't you?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, in terms of how it's informed it, it's in every way. You know, it shaped my principles. I got to work with these incredible young people in communities that our mainstream news system often stigmatize and, you know, use very strange terminology to describe. But what I witnessed there was so much joy and love. And so those are the communities I'm constantly thinking about when I think about the work that I'm creating in terms of not just the kinds of stories that I tell, but how I tell those stories and who those stories are getting to, you know? And so it's really shaped. It's also informed inspired some of my storytelling, you know? So I think, I don't think that I would be the type of storyteller that I am without having done those years of work in those communities.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who else would have come up with Revenge of the Black Best Friend? So I want to talk a little bit about this series because, well, you tell me, what's the concept behind this series? It's hilarious and it's brilliant, but you tell us about it.
So it follows a woman named Dr. Toni Shakur, who's this self-help guru, talk show host, who's made it her self-proclaimed mission to end the entertainment industry's reliance on token Black characters. So she does that through writing books. She has her own talk show, like I said. And so in the show, every episode, we explore a different stereotype, from the sassy Black girl to the guy who dies first in the horror film. And every episode, we kind of explore a different world. So everything from an infomercial to a fake reality show that we create called Thug Race, where instead of Drag Race, you're competing to be the best thug.
It was so good. That was my favorite episode.
Is it your favorite?
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of, it was a really fun world to play in, and Dr. Toni Shakur is a character that I really enjoy as well, too.
Played by Olanike, and I love her, and I love all the work she does, but I just thought what was interesting about it was not just, like, the insider knowledge you had, which anyone who is Black and works in any kind of broadcast capacity would understand every single episode, but I think it also resonates beyond our community. In the end, Dr. Shakur gets canceled. and she gets canceled for basically using her. Well, you tell us why she gets canceled, and you tell us why you felt it was important for her to be canceled.
Sure. And I'll just clarify, not canceled in a television, canceled
not
on Black.
Canceled in the television. I mean, in the zeitgeist.
By Black Twitter, canceled.
Canceled by Black Twitter, canceled.
So yeah, it was, every episode leading up to that moment is about the stereotypes, is about, these sort of tropes that we've seen, and that critique is important, but it's also happened before, and so we wanted to figure out what is going to be different about our show, and I wanted to investigate the protest, the activism, what happens when your activism becomes your brand.
Yes.
Like, how are you implicated in it? And it's a question that I ask myself, so it allowed me to get personal in a way that was different. It allowed me to question the motivation and question the strategies. Like, are you actually trying to change things if it's now your career?
Right.
Like, if you're making money off of it, do you actually want the industry to change?
Right.
And so I think these are important questions. It's not that she's an or what's they call it, an anti-hero.
Like an anti-hero,
she's not an anti-hero, but she is flawed and complicated, and I love complicated characters.
That's what I loved about her too.
Yeah.
So someone as accomplished as you, you're doing all the things. Do you still get any kind of stab of imposter syndrome these days? It still pops up, yeah?
Every day. I had to give myself a pep talk yesterday.
Okay, I understand.
I feel like a newbie still. I'm still I feel like I'm still getting my feet wet in the industry in so many ways. I know I come with a wealth of experience in a different way, but I didn't go to journalism school. I didn't go to film school. And so there's a ton of learning that I'm constantly doing on the job, outside of the job. But then I was also like, maybe it's never going to go away, because I was watching an actors talk, and Viola Davis and Tom Hanks said they experienced imposter syndrome, and I was like, okay, none of us have any hope. Like, that's it. We're all going to just die with it.
I feel like maybe it keeps us a little bit humble. But what I will say about getting older, because we talked about this a ton on the show, especially yesterday, a whole special about menopause and perimenopause, is that you get to a place where even if you are feeling like maybe you shouldn't be in that space, you don't care.
Right.
Because you have the confidence to back you up.
Okay.
And as one of our experts said, doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting good results leads to confidence.
Yes.
And when you have that, it's almost like, well, I'm showing up in this space and I don't know if I belong here or if I was even invited, and I don't care.
Yep, I'm here
right?
anyway.
I'm here anyway.
Yeah.
So that is maybe the thing that combats the imposter syndrome. But yeah, imposter syndrome, not the worst thing in the world, because it keeps us grounded a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about the family, because you do have a family. You had a baby. You did it like one of the Kardashians, the youngest one that had the baby and no one knew. That's how you did it. Kendall or Kylie. Like, all of a sudden there was a baby.
Well, it was 2020, so nobody saw me.
It was 2020, so no one saw you.
Except up here. And everyone was gaining weight. So I was like, yeah, it's cool,
Yeah, totally. And then there was a baby.
Yeah.
So you did this. There's a racial uprising. There's a pandemic. You are starting a family. You're having a baby. How did that all go? Like, how did that shake down? How was that experience like?
It was overwhelming in a lot of ways. There was so much anxiety about so many things, and I for a while had been wanting to be a mother, and I never imagined that it would happen like that. In this moment where so many important questions are being asked, there's so much tension. My husband couldn't come with me to appointments. It was just a very different world. But what I will say about the experience of motherhood and how it's shaped me and changed me is that it's been this incredible filtering system. My son is the most amazing human. He's just my favorite person to hang out with. And so now my question is, if you are not as fun, or this project is not as fun as hanging out with him, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And so it's really, sharpened my focus in a fundamental way that I really appreciate.
Oh, I love that. Sometimes the more you have to do, the more organized you have to be. So there you go.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love you. Thank you, Amanda, for everything you contribute to society, to broadcast. We need your voice. It's incredibly important. So we want to thank Amanda for joining us today. And if anyone watching knows an extraordinary woman you think we should feature in our Say It Forward series, tell us. You can email us at submissions@cityline.tv. Tell us who she is. Tell us why she is amazing. Thanks again, Amanda.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break.